Well, hello again, Andy.
Hi, Dad. Back for episode 6.
Yes, I think this one will be kind of interesting. But before we jump into that, anything you want to pass along or any recommendations you want to make for us?
Well, on TV stuff, I actually had a question for you. Is there any show? What are there any series that you have watched all the way through the series multiple times?
Yes.
Which ones?
You want more of an answer than just yes, right? I've watched The Queen's Gambit twice.
Okay.
There's some movies I've seen more than once, but I'm trying to think of any other series. That's the first one that pops into my head. I'm sure there've been some others. Well, Firefly.
Okay, yeah.
Babylon 5.
You've been through Babylon 5 more than once, yeah.
Oh, yes, been through Babylon 5 more than once.
Fringe, did you ever go through that more than once?
I never went through it more than once.
I mean, that's a show that is...
And Heroes, I only watched all the way through one time.
I've been curious what it would be like to rewatch Fringe. I mean, I guess at this point I've forgotten so much of it. It probably would be fairly fresh to...
It would be interesting
to watch through again. There are some shows, though, that the mystery kind of keeps you holding on, and then once you kind of know everything, it seems like
I didn't
watch through it again.
I didn't care for the ending of Fringe.
With the alternate timelines.
Well, it wasn't exactly like this, but it was kind of like, no, and then I woke up. Which is an ending to anything that I absolutely detest.
Yeah, where it's like, oh, that stuff didn't really happen.
Didn't really happen. No,
like that.
Or either that, or I think with Fringe, it was more a case of everything gets reset.
Yeah, they kind of like undid. They just kind of undid a bunch of reality, and it was like, oh, that stuff, you just erased it, like it never happened.
It never happened.
Really, really unsettling.
Yeah.
Did you know that was the thing I always hated about The Wizard of Oz is when it ends, it's just like, oh, it's just a dream. But
yeah,
I've heard people talk about that they have some memory, or maybe it's a false memory or something, of her looking under her bed at the end of that movie, like some alternate cut or something. And the ruby slippers are there, like under her bed. It's got to be like a false memory.
It's got, it's got.
But it would have been so cool to end it that way.
That would have been interesting. That would have been how they do it now.
Yeah.
Only she wouldn't look under the bed. The camera would just pull away and you'd see the red slippers under the bed.
Yeah. Yeah. In color.
But that, as far as I know, that's just, that's not true.
It's probably false memories or something. I did want to mention, so this episode is about Watergate, and all growing up, I heard Watergate, but I never really knew what happened. I knew Nixon resigned and there's some scandal or something, but I never really knew much about it until I watched the movie, All the President's Men.
Yes.
And it was such a good movie, but yeah, it was interesting. It was nice at that point, finally, as a grown up, that I,
a lot of ways,
Watergate was all about.
Then you have a little bit of a foundation going into this episode of Timeless.
Yeah.
So it's not, because heck, you weren't even born when Watergate occurred.
Oh yeah. So when was that? That was
72.
Like 70. Yeah. Yeah. So I was definitely not born yet.
Yeah. But that movie would have given you some good background for what we're dealing with.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it definitely did.
Well, should we go ahead and get into our discussion of Watergate?
Yeah.
All right. The episode starts at Rufus's house. We meet his mother and we learn he has a brother. He gets a text from Connor Mason to meet him outside. He gets into a waiting limousine with Connor and that Rittenhouse guy. Connor says Flynn has gone back to June 20th, 1972. They think he wants to steal the infamous Watergate tape before the 18.5 minutes gets erased.
Outside another house, Lucy sits in her car. It's the house of her biological father, Benjamin Cahill. Agent Christopher calls, and Lucy heads to Mason Industries. Our trio arrives in 1972 in the midst of an anti-war protest. When some protesters start fighting with a group of soldiers, Flynn shows up and grabs Lucy, Wyatt, and Rufus.
Lucy, Wyatt, and Rufus then find themselves tied to chairs in a dilapidated hotel room. Flynn enters. He shows them the Watergate tape that he's already stolen. He plays the tape, and they hear the part that was later erased. It's President Nixon discussing Rittenhouse and a doc he wants back. Flynn tells Wyatt and Rufus about Lucy's journal. He lets Lucy and Rufus go and tells them she has to find the missing doc or he will kill Wyatt.
Lucy and Rufus go to phone booths where Lucy calls the associate director of the FBI, who was a secret informant codenamed Deep Throat. Rufus calls the number he was given by the Rittenhouse guy in Connor's limousine. He is instructed to destroy the doc. Lucy and Rufus meet Deep Throat in a parking garage. He describes a symbol found on a paper. Rufus recognizes it as the symbol for the Black Liberation Army.
At the hotel room, Flynn tells Wyatt that he had proof Rittenhouse was bankrolling Connor Mason's time machine and that they killed Flynn's wife and daughter. And that's why he wants to eliminate Rittenhouse. Lucy and Rufus go to the BLA headquarters and are taken to get the doc. It turns out that the doc is not a document, but a woman who has a doctorate degree and was a member of Rittenhouse, but she left. She says Rittenhouse goes back several generations, and she knows who all the members are since the founding of Rittenhouse in 1778.
Rufus calls that phone number again and says the doc is a person. He is told again to destroy the doc. Lucy finds out that Rufus has been recording everything for Rittenhouse. They manage to save Wyatt and arrange for the doc to escape to a boat going to Hong Kong. Rufus makes another phone call and says they lost the doc.
Back in the present, Rufus is questioned by the guy from Rittenhouse. Flynn visits the graves of his family. Wyatt looks at information about his wife's death, and Lucy is parked again outside the house of her biological father. She goes to the door and asks for Benjamin Cahill. It's the Rittenhouse guy. Roll credits.
I was wrong. It's not Flynn.
No,
but I knew it would. I knew it would be somebody important
and tied to this whole business.
And tied to the whole thing. Yeah. So that's the twist. It's the Rittenhouse guy.
One note real quick. Now, Watergate is where the term gate originated. Mm-hmm. See, now every scandal is a something gate.
Yeah. Yeah. Phone
and it comes
gate,
from that.
Anything gate. Now, why was it Watergate? Was that just the name of the hotel? I can't remember.
That was the name of the hotel, the Watergate Hotel. Aside from her father being Mr. Rittenhouse guy, any other things stood out to you in this episode as you watched?
Well, just, the Rittenhouse guy gets on my nerves so bad. I don't know. He bothers me. I don't know, because I feel like he's trying to be so menacing, but it's just, I don't know. I just feel like he's not. I would not feel scared of that guy, other than he demonstrates his power by making your car shut off and stuff. There's something about his. I just don't know if he was cast super well, but I think so. Well, it was interesting to get a little more of Flynn's backstory, kind of why he's out here doing this, and to know that his wife and children got killed, and he has this like personal vendetta against Rittenhouse. And I guess, and we understand now Rittenhouse is just, it's like everywhere. It's controlling it. It's kind of like the Illuminati or something. You know what I mean? It's this kind of hidden, mysterious thing that's controlling everything.
And it made me think that the people say, well, there's a group of how many men in the world who they actually control everything.
Yeah. So that's
what it made me think
here.
of.
Mm-hmm.
So this is this show's version of that bunch. Rittenhouse is that group of people.
Yeah. I thought it was kind of a, I don't know, I guess sort of a fun twist that the doc turned out to be a person. Although it feels like a little bit of a stretch that they would nickname her the doc just because she has a doctorate. But
right.
I thought that idea was kind of fun. You think they're going to get some document, and then but it's a person. I can't destroy a person, which kind of raises the and the twist at the end of realizing that Rufus keeps making those phone calls to report, and then you find out at the end that it was the younger Rittenhouse guy that he was calling and reporting to.
Yeah,
which I was just like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty neat.
Yeah, so I'm definitely feeling kind of more invested. But we're in episode 6. I feel like I'm more invested in seeing where this is going and what's going to happen.
We're getting a little more pieces to the puzzle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also, it was kind of satisfying to have Rufus show Lucy the recording device. You know what I mean? That didn't kind of like go on and on for the whole season of him doing these secret recordings, but just got that out in the open, and now they're kind of dealing with, okay, how do we...
Did you like how Wyatt kind of, I'd say maybe took control of that situation when he found out that they'd been recording and all of that, where he says, no, you're going to keep recording because now you're going to tell us what's going on. So Rufus has got to kind of be the double agent here. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of cool. I also thought
yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, but then at the end there, when the three of them walk off, they're definitely not holding hands and singing Kumbaya. They're not happy with each other.
Yeah, that's true. I did notice there were a couple. Okay, when they kind of end up in this predicament, and so they have the clever idea, Rufus and Lucy, they lead. They sort of trick Rittenhouse and Flynn to like meet at the same place, knowing that they'll attack each other. Right. And I thought, that was clever, but leading them to meet at the place where Wyatt was like such a big risk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just feel like Wyatt could have easily been killed in that whole thing. I don't know. I just felt like that was a pretty big risk to take.
Yeah.
I also thought it was so weird that they left the handcuff key in the trash can. Why would you do that?
Well, like, you're done with it. You just throw it away.
I mean, yeah, it was like, I don't know. I just thought that was a little ridiculous. And it did end. It was kind of a fun moment to end on with the Rittenhouse guy saying, guess who just showed up at my house?
Yeah.
And then it's kind of a little cliffhanger.
But who's he talking to?
Right.
Yeah.
That's the question. I did have a thought so I was feeling more kind of invested and interested in this episode, and I don't know if part of it was just kind of the subject matter or the writing, but then I got thinking, I wonder who wrote this episode, because I'm kind of liking it a little more than some of the others, and I also was just curious who has written the previous episodes and kind of how that works. And so I got on Wikipedia, and so there's a director's credit and a writer's credit for each episode.
Right.
And at this point, we're at episode 6. There has not been a repeat writer yet. So it's been a different writer for every episode, which kind of tells me, okay, they were simultaneously, they're like, all right, we have our writing team. They're simultaneously writing all these episodes kind of according to a plan, but this one was, and it looks like there's a team of about 10 writers. And so this episode was written by Kent Rotherham, and it's different. and it's different. I looked at the future episodes, and it's different writers until we get to episode 10, and then at that point, Tom Smuts writes that episode, and he also wrote episode 2, Abraham Lincoln. But now through until episode 10, it's like different writers for each episode.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
It could still be a group with one main head writer who gets the writing credit. Yeah.
Right.
I noticed some other things on the episode when it starts out with, Rufus in his kitchen, and I'm thinking, okay, we got the tech guy who can pilot a time machine and he can't run a coffee maker.
Uh-huh. There was something else. He did something else that was kind of bumbly.
Yeah,
I can't
kind
remember what it was,
of that you wouldn't expect. And I liked how Lucy and Rufus, they meet up with Deep Throat in the same underground parking garage where he met Woodard and Bernstein. I thought that was a cool callback.
I thought that was pretty cool too. I was like, oh, I've seen this before.
If Rittenhouse now was founded in 1778, why hasn't Flynn gone there yet? You would think that would be one of the first places he'd head.
Mm-hmm. I don't remember. Yeah, they said that, didn't they? It was founded in he said it was founded in 78?
1778.
Oh, 17. Sorry. I was thrown off for a second. 1778. Yeah. So it's like deeply in tentacles and things.
That's what the doc said.
Right.
And she knows all the players from 1778.
Right.
So that's probably why Flynn wanted her, so that he could get the names of everybody who was there from the beginning.
Oh, good point. I didn't even think about why he would have wanted her. But yeah,
that kind of makes sense now.
Yeah, because her story was she was in, but was trying to get out, or had somehow gotten out. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting.
I had one other just note that's completely irrelevant. Mm-hmm. At the end, when they take the doc and they deliver her to where she's going to go and hand her off, Mm-hmm. Did you notice that the guy who was the head of the Black Liberation Army, did you notice his car, his gold car? It was a convertible, but the top was up. It was an Oldsmobile 442. And one of the reasons I noticed that is because when I was in college, I had a roommate who drove an Oldsmobile 442.
Oh, like that same.
It might have been about the same
model.
year. Yeah. Same year, yeah. And it was. He had that thing so it could jump. It was a fast car. That 442 had a big engine in it. It's one of those that if you pulled up beside it at a stoplight, you'd look over and you go, "Okay, it's an Oldsmobile," but then not realizing what came under the hood.
What's under? Yeah, kind of a sleeper a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool.
Anyhow, that's about all that stood out to me of this episode. Like you, I'm glad we're moving ahead with some things, and some of the things that we were talking about earlier, well, turned out to be true.
Mm-hmm. Except for my prediction that Flynn was going to be her father. But
yeah,
but maybe it's better that Rittenhouse is her father. But then
who knows how that's going to complicate things.
Yeah.
So now we're really looking forward to next time.
Yep.
And I did not yet look at the next episode.
Did you think of how you would rate this one? I feel like for me, I'm still a little skeptically optimistic or cautiously optimistic.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I almost want to say that this one was an 8, but 8's kind of high. I don't know.
Yeah, I
still might say like 7.5 or something.
I was thinking closer to 8 as well.
Yeah. So I'm kind of in there, 7.5, 8, something like that. So I guess
Let's see. The next episode. This sounds like an interesting title. It's called Stranded.
Stranded.
Now, I'm going to take a wild guess here, and I'm going to say that they go back in time somewhere and they get stranded.
Oh. Yeah, of course.
Otherwise,
Do we know where they go, or we don't know anything other?
No, I haven't. I don't look at any of the information before I watch.
No spoilers. Okay.
No spoilers. I want to go into it fresh.
Yeah. By the way, have you ever gone to a movie at a theater? I'm sure you have. Go into a movie at a theater knowing absolutely nothing about it and having not seen a trailer.
Maybe just a few times, but that's rare.
Yeah.
Really
Lori and
rare.
We've done that once, like at a theater, knowing nothing about a movie. We just go in but man, it's really fun to watch a movie like that because you have no idea what to expect at all. And everything is just a surprise. I feel like when you're writing a movie, that's the way you want people to experience it. It's like knowing absolutely nothing, and then everything can be a surprise as it unfolds.
Oh yeah. But I think these days, so many of the movies and even the TV shows with the commercials and stuff and all the previews, it's overdone. We don't need to know, like, you don't need to watch most of the movie in the trailer.
Yeah. I wish that there was more of a trend of trying to convince you to, I mean, they've got to convince you to go see the movie somehow, but I wish they would come up with some other ways other than just spoilery trailers. Like I loved what Hitchcock did with The Birds. The trailer for The Birds was literally Hitchcock just talking to the camera and talking about, I'm working on my new picture and it's about birds. And it was just all this like dark humor in it and just this funny stuff with like birds in the background. But it was like, it didn't show anything from the movie. He was just saying, go see my new movie. It's going to be great. And I would love to see more stuff like that.
That would be kind of cool.
One kind of, this is sort of not really that same thing, but I do remember one trailer that I don't often remember trailers, but I remember the trailer for Super 8, the J.J. Abrams movie, because they did something that I had never seen before in a trailer for Super 8. The scene when the train comes and there's the truck. The truck is speeding toward the train on the tracks, and then it hits the train, explodes, the train derails. Well, in the trailer, they crafted a trailer from the truck's perspective. It was like the camera was with the truck. He comes skidding around a turn and goes heading down the railroad tracks like toward a train, and it was like from that perspective. And then when the movie came out, you never saw that scene happen from that perspective. It was all from the perspective of the kids. But I had never seen something before where you actually got to see a different perspective of a scene in a trailer than what's in the actual movie. I just thought it was like really clever to do that.
Oh, that's cool. But at least they showed in some form what they had put in the trailer. How many trailers have you seen? You go to the movie and you go, I didn't see that part. The trailer, I didn't see that part in the movie. Yeah,
because they've done last minute changes to the edit for you. And I feel like I don't see that very often, but I think I've run across that a couple times.
Yeah, a couple of times I've noticed that. But
yeah.
Well, we're not a movie podcast, so
maybe that'll be our next one.
So next time we'll get together and we'll get stranded. That wraps up this episode. Join us again next time here in the TV Lounge.